Good afternoon.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone.
Multifamily Her with Zori and Ilona, live out of Edmonton, Alberta. We welcome all our viewers, live or recorded.
And yeah, we are here. It's February 26th. We wanted to start off by us just acknowledging that there's a war going on in Ukraine from Russia. And this is not easy for us to be here because we have been worried about our family. And Ilona and I. So, yeah, but it's important. I think one thing we want to start off by saying is we're so grateful to be living in Canada. It really puts things into perspective. Like we don't ever have to worry about tanks coming down our streets. We don't ever have to worry about having to flee our house because someone's going to take our country away. Um, and we're grateful to, literally have the freedoms to grow our business, to invest in real estate, to grow wealth, and without any fear. And also, the way that we were talking about how this ties to real estate is that, we're grateful that we can, because we're building wealth, because we're investing, we have extra funds and we have the flexibility. And as we grow more wealth, we'll have even more flexibility, not just to help our family, but to help the world and our family abroad. That's why, it's important. I think the bigger we grow, the more we can help, which will be great.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, exactly what Zoria said. And I just urge Canadians not to ever take your freedom for granted. Freedom can look differently in Ukraine, and freedom fighting looks different in Ukraine. It looks different in Canada. Just be appreciative of what you have, because like Zoria said, we don't have to worry here about somebody bombing our house and not surviving a night and having children witnessing this. So, and also what Zoria said, it's been really emotional and really hard for us because we do have family and close friends in Ukraine experiencing the violence that's happening there now. And for me personally, I in the beginning, like when I heard about it, I didn't know how I'm gonna pull through this. It's not business as usual. I can't pretend. You can't pretend, right? It's not something that you just turn off in your mind and you stop thinking and pretend on social media everything is fine. It's not.
No, I can't, and that's disrespectful for the people who are living through it.
Yeah, and it's unauthentic as well.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to say is that for me, the only thing that's helping me through the news that we're hearing every day from Ukraine is that, like what Zoria said, is that the more I concentrate on my business, the more I'm able to help my family, other people going through unimaginable that nobody should be going through. So that's the only thing that is allowing us to get back on our feet and talk about real estate. And that's why we're talking about real estate today, acknowledging that it's not business as usual. It's not easy, but there is a reason why we want to continue building our business in real estate and help others do the same so that people have options.
Yeah. And even the work here we're providing housing for people, safe, affordable housing. That's important work too.
Especially in anticipation of refugees and immigration coming to Canada. It's a very essential business to be in, and I'm very happy we're in this business.
Yeah, so we can provide homes for them.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about investing in the US. And I just want to do a quick introduction because Zoria visited a really special event of investing in multifamily properties in the US a couple of weeks ago. And basically today we're going to have an interview style live where I'll be asking Zoria questions and we'll have a discussion like that. Zora, did you want to talk about this event that was happening in the US, where it was, why you were there, what you were doing there, and yeah, give us an intro.
Yeah, I can start with that. So yeah, we just had it was basically a boots on the ground get together, mastermind training, and it was specifically for just to get a better sense and better understanding of how to invest in the US. I specifically went there with several people that I'm going to be partnering with in projects in the US. So it was important for us to get to know each other a bit better. And yeah, it was a really good event, specifically the networking, just talking to, we were in this mansion for 4 days together. That was a great way to just really get to know other investors in multifamily and learn from each other. And then we got to go, we went on a tour of one large multifamily portfolio that was for sale. And it wasn't under contract yet.
How many properties was it, Zora?
So that was, I think it was about 330 doors. The whole portfolio was, the rumor that they wanted 55 million for it. It was actually 3 properties in one. So it was a good opportunity to see, almost 3 different properties but it was easy to walk from one to the other. So it got us a really good sense of the types of multifamily that's down there. And personally, I got really excited walking around those because even though if I'm not going to be involved in that one, there's a lot of similar opportunities like that in Florida where these pretty big multifamily complexes are just owned by a family who just want to, get out of it already. They've owned it for a long time. They've paid it off. And then now they're just kind of not really running it as a business anymore because they don't need to. So they're kind of become lazy with expenses and rent. So that creates great opportunity for people who want to come in and just improve those properties. And so in that particular one, there was so many opportunities to the structure foundation of it was good, but so many opportunities to improve the insides, or renovate the insides, to improve the fitness area, improve just simple things like the pool furniture is so old and dated, right? Just swapping that out. There's so many ways that you could easily improve the building.
And not very expensive ways, right?
Yeah. And then I know I personally, I know the NOI formula. So really the formula in multifamily is basically for every $1 that you can increase in rent, it adds $20 to the value of the property.
That's amazing. It's huge.
So if you can say increase one unit's rent by $300, and
by making those improvements, right, you would be able to increase rent.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was room to increase rent just almost by not doing anything at all. They were not giving out rent increases, even though the standard for that area, which was much higher. So there was even improvements that could be made.
So Zora,
not doing anything.
Before you continue and we talk about improvements and stuff like that, I wanted to ask you 2 questions. One is, why Florida? Why specifically Florida that your group went to? And second is, how do you find properties like that? Yeah. How did you know that it was going to be listed, perhaps, or they would be willing to sell?
Yeah. So first, why Florida? So there's there's certain states that are better places to invest than others, and specifically Florida. I believe there's 2,000 people moving there a day. It's really growing in population. It has very diverse economy, has very landlord-friendly laws. And there's a lot of opportunities, like I said, of properties that are in need of improvement. And so, when you're looking at the U.S. as a whole, because if you're thinking of in going into the US, you have to really look at certain states and whether they're, whether I'd say the macroeconomics of where to invest is the same in Canada and the US. Like you want to look at where people are going, where people are moving to, where jobs are being created, where the economy is diverse. So those things are the same. And then also, where are the kind of laws working in your favor? Because if you make improvements, but you're not allowed to increase the rent because it has rent control, like in Ontario, then there's not much you can do. So as far as that kind of stuff, that's the same in the US. But then
and that's because like also every state is different, right? Like every province is different in Canada.
Yeah. So it's so important to do your research or work with someone who has already done that research as to where the best states are to invest. Yeah, look what other large investment companies are doing and kind of follow their lead. They've already done a lot of that research. And so that's part of the reason why Florida, lots of people are moving there. And as far as and then if you're looking at, say, like the neighborhood level or the city level where you're investing, that also just takes a lot of research. So you can't just learn about a place in a weekend. So that's why my partners are down there for months. They're kind of are established there in Florida, even though the Canadians established in the US. So because you really got to spend some time there, creating a network, meeting people, meeting property managers, meeting lenders, meeting realtors, and really building relationships with those people. And that takes a long time. So I would say, as someone, if you're just thinking about getting into the US, you have to start partnering with other people who are already invested in the US. To start all on your own is possible, but and you could do that with a single family home. It's not as risky. But you need to know where you are. Just like in Canada, if you're going to look into a different market, you need to really start understanding that market and work with people who know the market.
And so, Zora, would you even know that a property like that could become available? Is it through those relationships, or is there a different way are there wholesalers for multifamilies there? I don't know, asking a question.
It's really through relationships.
How do you find the property?
Yeah, it's just through relationships and talking to people. Like I said, establishing yourself, going to different conferences in the US, starting to meet people that are also doing the same thing. You can meet some people in, say, in Facebook groups and online, but really have to. I think the main way to get to hear about these deals is to prove that you can actually close. So you're never going to hear about a $55 million deal if you're not able to close on that kind of deal.
Right.
You have to go there. You have to establish yourself as an investor who has the money and the ability to get the financing. And you have to have term sheets from lenders already showing that you can get the financing. And when you have that kind of stuff, then you'll start hearing about more deals. The realtors are not going to waste their time with people that don't know what they're doing, and especially at higher levels, say a $1 or $2 million property. They're still not going to waste their time if you're just asking them basic questions. About what is this tax term mean, or what does that insurance term mean? They're not going to be explaining. That just shows that you're not familiar with the market, and you're probably not going to be able to close.
And Zora, can you talk a little bit about the team? Who should be on your team? Who should you be looking to partner with when you're looking into US multifamily market?
I guess say someone like me who's trying to get into the US. I'm not trying to do this on my own. I'm partnering with someone who's already established in the US, like I said, to start building that team. if you don't want to do it that way, then if you want to try and go at it your own, then I would just get references from people who are already investing in the US for your team members. That's the best way to start building that team, right? Get references to lawyers, to accountants, to, cross-border lawyers, people who understand how to file taxes properly, references to property managers, realtors, and then hopefully you can, but it's going to be expensive doing it that way.
Because you have to do everything from scratch, basically, right?
Yeah, especially on like the multifamily side, you need to be really careful about how you structure everything, and like the corporations that you set up. There's lots of, if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to end up paying like double tax. You're going to pay tax to the US and then tax to Canada.
Are you able to talk about that a little bit, like at the high level, about structure? Because there's a special way, if you're a Canadian and you want to invest in the US, you have to be mindful of, like you said, of taxes and how you structure the deals.
You just have to be mindful of
the
it.
money flow.
Whether you're doing it on your own, like it's different whether you're personally buying a house in the US versus you are like, raising money and buying a multifamily and setting up corporations. Like that's a lot more complicated, and you really have to be working with the right lawyers and accountants to do that. Even on the residential side, you want to make sure that you're working with the right accountants and lawyers. Because and also if you're, say, investing in the US just as a passive investor, you have to make sure that those structures are set up properly, so that you at the end of the day are not stuck with it's called like a K1, basically like a T4, but for the US, or not a T4, like not a T4, because that's for like
so that you're paying taxes there and here, right?
Yeah, you're basically going to get a statement of your rental or your investment income that has to be filed with the IRS. And so you have to make sure that if you get that, then you have to file a US tax return. If you're so you want to invest in like Canadian companies that are investing in the US, not if you're going to directly invest into a US fund or investment, then you got to be careful, because they're not going to take care of that tax.
And that's where, sorry, I'm interrupting. What I wanted to add is that's where the value of your team comes in, that people who know what they're doing and have done so successfully in the past, so that you're not taxed double. So watch out to partner with people who know what they're doing.
And there's so many ways to do it. So exactly. Partner with people who've done it and have figured that out already.
Yeah. Did you want to talk a little bit more? You started talking about adding value to existing multifamilies. Some of the ways that can be done, and how are those properties that you've seen, how do they differ from Canadian multifamily properties? Yeah, here in Alberta, let's say.
Well, one big thing, I guess compared to, say, like property in Ontario, there's lots of places that it's very affordable still to buy property. And you kind of hear this 1% rule in the US, where it's kind of a rule of thumb, where you could take the rent. If the rent is 1% of the purchase price, then that should be a good investment. But that's really difficult to get in Canada, even in Alberta. But there you can, because it's just a lot cheaper. And when you're buying older property that might need some improvement, it's really good value.
So there's a lot of, what I'm hearing is that there are a ton of opportunity now in the US space, real estate space.
Because there's so many reasons for that. The fact that, same as in Canada, they're not building property fast enough. The old inventory is aging. So there's opportunity to take that old inventory, improve it, increase the rents, and then really increasing the value of that project. And so that's why And you can do that in 3 to 5 years, and then dispose of the asset and do it again.
Yeah, rinse and
Like I
repeat. Do you want to talk a little bit about? Sorry, but my mind was going. How do you know if it's a good neighborhood to invest? Because I've heard that it's not only macroeconomics that matter, but microeconomics really matter as well in how you pick neighborhood where to invest.
Yeah. So I'll say I'm not like the expert yet on all of this, but I do know that it is different in the US and Canada. And I even saw this when I was in Phoenix last week, that not all neighborhoods are created equally. Like in Canada, you could, you live somewhere, you'll pretty much guaranteed that you'll have pretty good access to banks and grocery stores no matter where you live, and pretty good schools, but that's not the same there. So you have to be really cognizant of that fact, that you could live on the wrong side of the street, and then you have to go to that school versus the other school that's not as good. And so people will specifically live in certain neighborhoods to access certain good schools. And there's these things like food deserts, which means like you could live somewhere and there's not like a grocery store food for a long time.
Seriously, I haven't heard of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and banking too, right?
Yeah.
So it's I don't know how it happened that it's like that, but so you have to be cognizant of that, and then do your research. And
I guess that also influences then the type of tenant you're attracting to your property, right? Like all these factors have to come into consideration.
Yeah, you need to know what kind of tenants you're going to be getting in that neighborhood. So, and I think you can only know that by going there, spending some time there, or like working with people who are local and understand those areas.
And also what I wanted to add is, based on my experience, is that different networks, even on social media, Facebook, different groups, you're able to network with those investors in the US, and even would be great, if you're interested, just ask them questions about their market and hop on that Zoom call and ask them questions. I find that's a really good way to also find out about where they invest, why they invest. And sometimes locals can tell you things that you wouldn't be able to find out anywhere else. And that's why there is value in talking to locals, either by going there and living there for a bit, right?
Yeah.
It's like becoming that anthropologist.
Yeah, I know one of my partners, like whenever he's in a cab, he's always talking to the cab driver, trying to get as much information he can about that area and what's going on.
Oh, cab drivers know everything.
Yeah, and you'll get a lot more, I guess maybe trustworthy information from other investors in that area versus just a realtor. Like this is just whether you're investing in US or Canada, right? A realtor is going to be a little bit biased for that area. They are trying to sell property, but other investors are not as much. So talking to them about why they invest in a certain area is really helpful.
Yeah. Well, Zora, I don't see any comments or questions from people. Maybe everything is super clear right now. And and that's okay. But if you guys if somebody is watching us record it and a question pops into your head, please leave it in the comments and we might address it in the next one, depending on how many questions we get. We want to bring value to you and answer your questions. So that would be a very engaging live stream if you're able to leave us your comments and questions.
Yeah, and I think we'll continue talking about this topic in the future. So we can answer those questions then, and kind of follow us along as I get into the US. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about the market, but I can learn with me as I go.
It's a big topic. So many opportunities. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us live, whoever joined us live, and thank you for.
We can't see who joins us. We just see how many views there are.
There are a couple of people watching. Anything else you wanted to say, Zoria?
I think that's it for now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Great Saturday. Bye.